Yo, I think my stream crashed. Don't worry about that. Probably not gonna go back on the Dynasty game, but I think the major sell in the Dynasty game was 100,000%. The 780 in mid. So eventually the brawl got to this point in the game where Laser in his heavy tank in B got bled out like crazy, and he was forced to back up a bit. And there was a 780 who actually committed along with another tank to try to go for this kill over here. And I don't really agree at all with this play because one, it's a massive overcommit, and eventually you're just going to cause your team to just die on the major brawl where your HP is needed as, a heavy tank. So I think just this one play where they send an extra guy to try to clean up the C brawl was a bit of an overcommit. And then next game is actually Rockfield. And Rockfield, we do see some interesting stuff from, I'd say, both sides. So we see fast med lineups going something like this. Where is their last medium tank? Like this. Very interesting heavy tank positions. I'll explain what I mean by that later. And then on the red side, we have what do we have? Is there a guy here? I think there's a guy there. We have a guy in trying to go for B. Very interesting. And then we have a guy trying to cover. So we have a guy trying to cover like here. We have a guy here up top. Then we have a med camping on TD hill. And then two guys presumably driving a bit up on A. So I'll let this play out before I finalize these strat positions. Ooh, very interesting play for the 780s where they're actually driving over the middle towards zombie side of yeah, they're trying to drive over towards zombie side. And this is actually it's a play that's seen. It's very unfrequent, if that makes any sense. And okay, let me just actually clean up the positions now. So Velanonus is here. I presume Capybara is trying to move up to here to try to cover. And then we have these guys playing like this, I'm guessing. So let me just move all the tanks. So this is a bit of it's a very aggressive play, I'd say, from the side of uh New Era. And the kind of idea that you want to do when you're trying to send tanks over here like this is if you have any kills over here, these guys are just absolutely dead because if they try to like run maybe over here, this is probably their only option in order to run away. Like say if zombies sent any tanks like towards here or here, they would just get caught out and just killed if they're able to even run out in the first place. Like sure, taking this long pathing would be in theory safer, but then driving like this is faster. So in a situation where you see four very fast tanks YOLO towards you, and then two tanks like this, you're not really thinking. You just want to get out as fast as possible. Especially if like say you're playing here. If you're playing here, you're able to spot their meds in the deep corner, try to make a YOLO. You're like, oh crap, I need to run away, go like this, and you get double tapped by these guys. So this kind of setup, you're trying to catch something out, and also potentially if the enemy team is sending anything here in this pocket, this is just a free kill because you have just four guys swinging like this. These guys are going to die, and they can't really, I mean, they could try to drive forwards into forward tanks while they're in transition. They could either go here or divert here, but because you have um, this tanks here. Driving forwards is suicide. If you try to back down, again, that's suicide. if you sit here, you're just going to get bled because these 4 tanks can try to reposition and just slowly bleed you to death. So, in TLDR is if they sent guys here, they are getting caught out by this setup. So I do like the response from Zombie where they are just reinforcing their weak link, and their weak link is going to be Valinanus over here, who's a bit forwards, and I'd say he's actually kind of safe as long as he just hugs this rock here. The only real angle of crossfire I think is if they have like something just preeming down here. But again, with this kind of setup where you have a lot of guys forwards and guys here, if there were to be a one tank here, it would be a completely isolated tank, and it could be a potential tank that could be pushed for counterplay on zombies end. So I'm just gonna keep watching just to see what exactly Zombie are able to do, and I really don't like what New Era is doing just immediately, where they kind of overcommit and they send Bolshoi Anton towards this position. And the reason I don't really like this position whatsoever is because he is going to be fighting basically a med, just kind of peeking with the med. But the thing is, the med has great view range. So as long as the med just stays in this general vicinity, this heavy tank cannot rotate out. He is trapped there. And this is especially so because we have, let's say, like 2 heavies who could easily pre-aim his exit out. So this guy is literally he once you commit here, he is completely trapped here. So if New Era were to say rotate out, they would be playing a game with 6 tanks because this guy here is just sitting here. And maybe you could try to like leverage a play where you rotate. Well, I say rotate. These guys are also technically stuck here as well because if we think about the setup that Zombie has, they have the high ground. They are able to stare down at this, and as long as they hold the high ground, these tanks are trapped. This tank is trapped. So you're actually playing with 4 tanks to rotate. And 4 tanks to rotate on Rockfield is not a great situation to be in, especially since you can't really play for anything. And I mean, technically New Era does have caps. So Zombie would have to push into them. But Zombie knowing that they have information on 3 tanks at all times means they have an easier job at distributing tanks and figuring out, where and when they want to push. So I'll let this play out. And it seems like Mark Silent is gonna grab B. So this is a very smart play, I'd say, because now instead of having to push into 3 known tanks with 4 that could potentially like cover and come up with like a crazy, crossfire or a hold, they're now going to have caps, which means 3 tanks that are stuck plus 4 rotating tanks. These 4 rotating tanks are going to be the ones who have to make a play in order to bail out the 3 guys who are just completely stuck. So forcing a team with no options to push into what I would presume to be a stronghold is a very, very crushing blow, I'd say, to the side of New Era. And this is this is a bit of an overcommit, I'd say, just a consequence of an overcommit. And Atkinson, I don't like what he's doing, where he's trying to play for potentially a reset on Mark Silent, but the position that he's in is very easily crossfireable from the top of A. So this guy is probably just going to get smoked very, very soon. And I'll just let this play out. So we do see shots coming in from Unique, trying to punish, as I anticipated. And surprisingly, Akison only took 1 shot for that maneuver that he attempted. So very, very interesting. And now here, like kinda like I said, like, if we just take a look at Capybara, he's literally just pre-aiming, like, Bolshoi's Anton's, like, exit. Like, this guy can't do anything, and it really sucks if you're, like, in his shoes because you just know that I can't run away because 'cause I'm going to get shot and nuked, and I can't really push forwards because I'm also gonna get shot and nuked, so I literally have no options, like, if you are in his shoes, basically. And unfortunately, it looks like the 50T did get crossfired a bit or shot up a bit while he was trying to reset, what I guess to be the base. And then, like I said, you just have 4 meds being the only tanks to rotate, and you're trying to push against a heavy hold on A. This is absolutely chopped. You are going to lose this like 9 times out of 10 unless like Zombie has like 3 Amaraks or something. And these 780s are making what I would consider a omega desperate play onto B. I mean, this is realistically their only option in order to get these tanks that were here unstuck. You just have to play for B, which makes logical sense, but just look at the positions that Unique and Tenoji have. They're just raining down fire in their hold down high ground positions, and Skilloid and Akason are slowly going to bleed to death. So now the Kron is in the picture as well, and you have effectively 5 tanks just shooting into the B-Cat because Valenonis decided to make the right play, which is ignore the heavy. So I really like the play here that Val did, where he's just gonna leave Capybara in the med to kind of preem this guy, and then I'm just gonna move these tanks around. I don't really know the exact position of these meds, so just imagine they're floating around somewhere. Maybe it'd be good to check. Okay, so one guy here, one guy here, and then oh, the other guy's here. Okay, so interesting crossfire setup they have. I actually kind of like this crossfire setup that they've um uh set up here. It's still cooked though for them. Let's be real. But Valentinus decided to back to my main point. Valentinus decided to just ignore this guy here, and you're just going to try to rotate and just get another crossfire angle on the guys in the B cap, and they can't do anything to you. And like, sure, maybe this med can shoot you, this med can maybe shoot you, but they'd have to overpeak like crazy, in which case the guy on the A cap should be prioritizing, I'd say, shots on this because this guy is presumably trying to kill the guys in B. This guy over here is also trying to peek to kill the guys in B. This guy here is already on low-ish ground relative to the A cap, and he can just shoot down into the B cap. This Kron is over peaking and also shooting down to B. So this guy on A should hopefully be pre-aiming the meds. Yeah, this game isn't even close. Like here, zombie, they're up, they're up so much caps. They're 920 caps. They're 2 kills away from winning the game. They're up 8,000 HP. This is just a this is just a slaughter right here. It is completely Jover for New Era. Bit of lag on the official stream, which I think is pretty funny. Yeah, with the 1,000 points, 10k HP, or 9k HP lead, basically. So, kind of insane, kind of insane. Let me fast forward to the next game. Hopefully, I can nail it this time. Okay, Winter Mal. Okay, let me pull up Winter Mal now. Winter Malinovka. Okay, so looks like New Era is going to play very hard towards the A side, which I think kind of works out in their favor because Tenoji is going to be eventually a kill. Even though he's at this broken house position, he is eventually going to be a kill, I'd say. Hang on while I drink some water real quick. Okay, so just finished sipping my water, but yeah, as expected, Tenoji is just a kill. And I like the aggressive play that the new era tanks are doing with these 780s, where they're just sending them to this low ground house because what they're trying to do is they're trying to cut off the zombie tanks from that are committed on the A side from say rotating out, but also it means that it opens up a new crossfire angle. So let me put down the tanks just to clarify the position a little bit. So you have a med going here, wrong color. You have a med going here. You have a concept here. You have another med kind of here. And then what else do you have? So you have like two heavies in the middle. You have one heavy here and then one med kind of here. Okay. So on the other side we have one heavy in town just chilling here or something like that. And we have the two heavies that are making the gamer play. I really like this play. And then you have two and two. Okay, so you have two meds. Presume one of them is here, and then the other is probably somewhere here ish. Oh, I'm fucking looking at it. Okay, I'm blind. So someone here, and then we have two meds just outright just pushing like this. So in this setup right here, what is going to happen is you're going to open up a crossfire angle on the guys like this, and then you're going to open up another crossfire angle from this side. So they're just getting beamed from 180 degrees, quite literally, and you cannot look, forwards and backwards. So these guys are just going to get killed. These two tanks over here. So KBZ concept, these two tanks are definitely dead. And an interesting play that I already see kind of happening is that this LV 1300 is trying to suppress this guy. And what can actually happen is these two guys, even though they are low ground and they're, very far forwards, they can actually get crossfired up their rear like this. So what I could foresee happening is if these guys just drive like this and they know that this tank is being suppressed by this guy, so they just actually have the liberty to just do this crossfire. And this is a very strong crossfire angle. And typically you see this not necessarily from say the north spawn side of things, but say you are on south spawn and you are trying to hold A side, and the enemy team decides for some reason they just want to repush A side. Having a guy like up here, or maybe a guy like, here, just looking down this angle is very, very, very strong. And more oftentimes than not, you're just going to get a free shot or two just from holding that angle. And it does seem like New Era is capitalizing on this, even though they are losing, even though they're down on the HP, I'd say they are going to win the trade overall. And I do like what Valanons and Laser are doing, where they're not running away from this. They are actually holding these angles, trying their best to cover Tenoji, because Tenoji is actually probably, I'd say, the safest tank in the kill position or in these killing positions. So I'm just going to um X out this guy. He's dead, but this med, he can just hide using this building and just buy just enough time for his 2 med teammates to try to put in a lot of crossfire, and I believe these are the angles that they have. Something like this. So, really good crossfire, really good game sense from these 2 guys, just trying their best to cover their 1 med. And then we do actually see, a bit of mid play from the zombie tanks, and even though it's not the exact crossfire angle that I was anticipating them to take, they are recognizing that they do just have, numerical advantage. They're just going to just bum rush the middle. And I think this is a strong play, even if they're not, say, putting in crossfire into the A side of things, because by winning the high ground and ensuring that, say, these meds are able to survive, they can still hold this angle of crossfire and basically prevent New Era from, say, repushing into spawn. So, as long as they just win the high ground, I think that Zombie should, in theory, be able to win this game, even though they are, in theory, down on tanks, because Tenoji does fall. It's 7v5 right now. So, well, 7v5, I'd say actually New Era, because they are able to capitalize very quickly on the kills. They should actually, I'd say, win this game. I have to correct myself there. And actually, hang on, never mind. I think Zombie wins this game just off of positioning alone. Look, you have like 3 guys who are super low HP trying to peek a corner against KPZ, who is very far back. You have to drive very far forwards in order to put shots into laser, but he's being covered by Valenonis, who's in a very safe, very high ground hold down position. So just going back to here, where we have, what is it? It's this guy here, and then you're gonna have 2 dead tanks. I'm just gonna X them out. This guy's dead. This guy's dead. You have just a lot of tanks kind of just like this. It's two 780s. Okay. So we have something like this. And then one KPZ trying to go for an off angle, try to reinforce his teammates here. But where are the rest of the tanks? So it seems like the guy in town is still alive, which is good. He's buying time, and he is getting eventually help from one med teammate. Then the other's kind of floating around on A side. I'm not gonna pinpoint his exact position, but in this scenario, because of just how hard it is to push these 2 meds, if anything, the only, I guess, like, good play that could have happened is to maybe send this med up this ramp. And this is a very risky move because you have heavies in mid who could divert and shoot you as you're driving up this ramp. But you just need to open up a new angle against a hold like this, because this guy is hold down. You're not going to put shots into him. Realistically, you can only put shots into this guy who is also very far back. He could just like back up even further and you won't even have shots on him. So let's say maybe you just sacrifice his heavy here, try to take your 2 tanks, your 2 meds, and just open up a new angle instead of trying to help your 1 heavy in town. Just leave him to die, if anything. Like, you could even have him just, like, play aggressive, like, on purpose just to direct these 3 guys' attention on him, and then you just send it for the 1 med over here. But I think just as how this is playing right now, this is absolutely cooked for these 4 guys, even though it is a 4-on-2 advantage. This is not easy to push into at all. And interestingly, okay, we do see that crossfire angle that I was talking about earlier on the strat sketch. It just didn't really happen as I anticipated, but it is an angle as I have shown. So Valenonis again, like here, these are, well, I'd say Lost Emotion has an easier shot on Valenonis, but compared to Skilloid, Virginia, and Dissected, this shot is just so hard. Like, and oh wait, hang on, I didn't even noticed this, but somehow I believe Mark Silent was able to rotate from mid and help the brawl. I think I missed that somehow. When did he rotate? Oh, he rotated very early. Okay. And it was before you had the 3 tanks arrive. So he was Mark Silent already made the rotation, but okay, so I completely missed this. And even then, even if you have just 3 tanks here and you have 2 guys floating around like this, so one guy's eventually going to reinforce this side like this, but then these 2 guys, like, I'm sure maybe like this med was like, oh, let me just try to farm as much as I can off of, this 2v1 in this side, I'll make it like kind of like a 2v2. But it's just not a great use of his gun, especially since one of their heavies is rotating like this. If anything, this makes the play up the ramp against this guy all the more appealing because it means if one of these heavies is trying to shoot, like, sure, he'll get the shot off, but I think opening up a new crossfire angle and killing this guy before this guy can, fully drive in to try to, lead a push onto these 3 tanks or 3 or 4 tanks that are presumably over here by the time. It's just a better use of the mobility and DPM element. So, I think just Mark Silent, really smart play from him, just rotating and then leading the push on this side. It is just gonna be completely cooked for, New Era. Well, I say that, but it seems like New Era is actually picking up these kills very quickly. Huh. So they picked up kills very quickly. Actually, wait, how did they bring this back? I would say, like, even though it's 7v5, I would say Zombies just wins this just off of the high ground, but I guess not. So I see what happened. So even though it's like 4v3 in this side with Mark Silent eventually going in to really lead the push, it seems like the actual counterplay in the middle did work out in New Era's favor. So this Met that was fooling around actually decided to take a 3v2 and help the lone med or lone heavy in town. And they're able to just convert these 2 kills into re-winning high ground, and then presumably because these 3 tanks are going to repush low ground to get the kills on these guys are just gonna have high ground and they just, bomb down on them. So, I think that's probably what happened, and probably actually, it's 7v5. These 3 guys picking up 2 kills would make it, in theory, 7v 3. So, okay, yeah, okay. I guess my analysis was a bit skewed, let's say. I wasn't looking at the bigger picture where, just converting these 2 kills, especially in a game where you have already a low number of guns on zombie side, is just a lot better than what I was kinda calculating it to be. So, yeah, well played to New Era. I'm guessing they just clean up this game, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good, like, considering that they were, like, very low, like, these guys were super, super low. I thought they were just all 3 of these guys were just going to fall, even or 3 to 4 guys, like, I thought these 4 guys are just going to die, and then these 2 would kill the one heavy up here, but it seems like not the case, so I was wrong. Interesting. Let me fast forward to next game. We have Middleburg. Okay. Middleburg is a very classic comp map. And I'll just let this game play. I feel like I've been spending a lot of time just, like, talking about, like, different scenarios in the strat sketch. I think just letting it play, probably talking over these games would be a bit more efficient in terms of the time. So, Zombie is just gonna play just 2 guys in town initially, grab the B base, and because these are LV 1300s, this is not an easy tank to reset unless you're doing, like, a full town push, which New Era is not. And interesting blind shot, almost had the timing there. But early cap advantage to Zombie. Zombie do have 5 tanks up top, and it seems just off of the positioning, I'd say New Era is well, both teams are doing something very similar where they're just playing very, very passive up top while waiting for vision down low. So these LV-1300s are going to be very, very hard to dig out, and I don't think New Era wants to entertain the idea of pushing 2 tomatoes just sitting in town. And Ranger, New Era had a med go up mid ramp. Yep, I kind of recognize that uh, later on. So it did open up. It did. They were able to just convert like more kills and eventually just clean up the rest of the guys who were holding spawn. So my analysis was a bit messed up. I didn't really think about the one med just like going up the mid ramp. I was just thinking of like trying to like convert the kill in town, especially since you have all your guys kind of there already. And anyways, back to this game. It seems like Zombie just snuck Unique onto B cap or C cap, and because he's an LV-1300, he was somehow able to just cap it over time. So Zombie have cap lead right now. Akason is playing a bit aggressive, and I do like this rotation from Zombie is a bit ambitious. But then again, I feel like it's really good just because of how hard the LV-1300 is to hold. And if you take a closer look at Zombie's lineup, they have 4 of these LV-1300s, which means that trying to push the top is going to be a bit of a nightmare. But it is possible as we see what New Era is doing. And New Era does have a massive mobility advantage over Zombie, and if they work fast enough, they should be able to convert 2 kills very, very quickly. So Capybara and I'd say Laser should die, and we will see Zombie actually try to convert the 2 caps in town to their side. So I think here I think here Zombie should win this just because they have the 2 caps in town. So even though New Era did a very smart, like very fast rotation, they were able to out rotate Zombie up top and pick up 2 kills. They still lost 2 kills of their own, just like in the middle vicinity. And they also picked up 2 caps in town. And on Middleburg, especially in games at the highest level where playing for the objective is generally the go-to strategy, you're going to be very, very pressed for time. You're going to be forced to play for reckless kills if you are down on caps. And it seems like New Era is going to be very, pressed for supremacy points because Zombie's already at 880 points. So they're just trying to work very, very fast. And this is a gun advantage for New Era. They are fighting 5v4. But the caps, they have to convert these caps. That's their only option. I think Virginia probably has to swing wide, go for A, while Skilloid and Dissected try to one pick up the kill on say Mark Silent, or maybe Virginia picks up the kill on Mark Silent as he's driving towards A. But they need to kill Mark Silent, they need to kill Val, they need to step a guy on B, they need to step a guy on A. Now the question is, are they able to buy enough time for that? And I'm not sure if they're able to, because what should happen is that these 3 tanks should be trying to push for cover into town, try to play for town, try to flip for town. But then that would leave Bolshoi Anton as a kill for Zombie. So Zombie in this case could potentially try to flip for C, and because they're going to be up just a bit enough on caps, assuming if Val and Mark Silent die, they should still be about actually tied, so about 820 cap points, I'd say. But them being able to just hold high ground, play for C, and then play for the kill on Bolshoi means that actually they would still be up on cap, and I think they'd still win the game on cap. So here we see Mark Silent does die to Lost Emotion, who was behind him. So good pickup from him. And unfortunately, we see the two tanks on the side of New Era not going for town, but rather going for the kill on this LV 1300. And I do think this is a bit of an overcommit again, because you have Lost Emotion who's up top on the hill over here who can just shoot the LV 1300. So instead of having two tanks kind of circle him on low ground, just send one more guy cap B because he's closer, and then have the T100 who's driving at full speed already go to A and try to stop all the bases. So here we have Zombie flipping C cap in their favor, and it does seem like just looking at the minimap, I don't think that well, if Reborn Win gets this kill, this is huge. If they are able to get this kill on Bolshoi, this will decide the game because as soon as they get this kill, they're going to be at about 990 caps very, very shortly. And then after that, it's going to be 2 ticks for 1,000. So I think here, if Zombie plays, okay, here, th- this game, I believe, could go either or. It depends on whether Dissected pens the tomato tank or not. If he is able to pen maybe the hatch of the LV 1300, this will be well. Actually, even then, it will buy enough time for his team to potentially stop C as well. But nobody else can die. This is so. Oh, never mind. Nah, he bounced. That's unfortunate. But again, this tank is so hard to pen. If anything, Skilloid maybe. Well, Skilloid had to drive towards C in order to stop the base, so he couldn't even look for the shot. Well, he could have maybe looked for the shot, but it's a lot to ask for, and I think Dissected, that was his job, just try to pen it, but unfortunately, trying to pen a tomato is very, very difficult. So very interesting game where I'll just draw kind of what I saw. So there was a tank here, a guy here, one guy here, I think, and then it was what was down low in town. I just want to get to the point where, or honestly, the rest of the tanks don't really matter that much. I won't lie. I just remember there was like 4 tanks up top, and then the rest were down low. But the new era team, they knew that they had a mobility advantage, and they just sent it for these guys here. I'm forgetting what else they had. So take these tank icons and their exact locations with a grain of salt, but effectively New Era were able to out-rotate and pick up 2 kills very, very quickly, but in the meantime, Zombie were able to flip both A and B into their favor. So, because of the timing and how late this push happened, Zombie were able to actually be up a significant amount of cap points, and that is what won them the game. I think maybe if New Era did this push even, say, 20 seconds earlier, they probably would have won the game, period, because they just got 2 free kills again. So that was a very close game, and I do think just a bit of timing diff, I'd say, would have given New Era the chance to win this game. And also, the LV 1300 on Zombie side was able to cap C. So if they were able to maybe continually reset the LV 1300 capping C, it would have probably been a bit of a different game. They could have probably gone away with the same timing that they had in the actual game. It would have just been that Zombie would have had less cap points if assuming this LV 1300 kept on getting reset. So pretty interesting set of games so far. And I do think that these are best of 9. So I do want to fast forward a bit. Yeah, okay. So Naval, this is it's a cool map. Ranger says, I think Mark had to go mid or had to stay mid. Yeah, I agree. Just because like those 2 tanks and Spawn were just holding, right? If anything, those 2 tanks wanna force the 4 guys to, make the push in instead of them trying to push into those 4 guys. So, if Mark stays mid, I don't think there's anything that, New Era could have done to win the game. And very, very, very quickly, we see Virginia just try to go for an early B cap, but Zombie just has a lot of shots lined up. They were like ready for this. Like they did their homework. They were ready for this scenario. So Virginia knows that he can't really stay there. He's trying to run out and he's just getting completely bombed from all angles. So I'll just quickly add Naval. And this is a little bit unfortunate, I gotta say, just because this is potentially a match set and you're just gonna lose a tank off rip. So Virginia drives into B like this, and then you just have a lot of tanks just pre-aiming, just completely ready for this play. So he's getting shot, like this on his entry, and then as he's trying to leave, he's getting shot here. This is just absolutely, tragic to be, the guy going into B like that. So we'll see how the rest of the game plays out, but I think just off of this, Virginia is just a free kill for Zombie. Zombie should just win this game in theory. And I'm actually gonna put down the rest of the tanks. They have a TD, which is interesting. I don't know what this TD is, but it's a it's a TD, so I'm just gonna put it down. Let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is there a 7 tank? Yeah, med up top. Yeah, okay. So yeah, Virginia just dies for free here. And New Era is actually doing a good job at, slightly equalizing the HP a bit. They're getting good shots. HP is, I'd say, roughly even, but Zombie are gonna get a quick B cap, and considering that they're getting double caps. This is gonna be I'm a little bit sleepy, guys. EP. Um, this is gonna be a little bit chopped for New Era because it means that they have to push in a 6v7. But actually, I'd say Mark Silent bled quite a lot into BCAP as well as Unique. So it is possible in this circumstance actually for a comeback to happen because New Era has 2 kills lined up in like the BCAP area, and they do actually a very interesting play where they rotate and play for the top of A like this. And I think this is actually a really good play because even though the guy in B died, he baited 2 tanks to kind of chase after him for the kill, but this left them in really terrible positions, and this one guy and a couple meds can't really fully suppress 2 heavies and a TD, just driving up top on A and picking up these 2 kills here. So, they pick up 1 of those kills. I'm guessing that Unique is probably gonna get chased out and killed. An unfortunate bounce on the rear of the 116 by 116. I'm not sure if this is I do know that like certain tanks are not, like the 116 on tank Blitz is probably not this exact same tank as the 116 on Blitz, but I would imagine that the gun like handling is, comparable. So a bit of an unlucky shot there. And very good HE shot from Akason. So in this circumstance, actually, I'd say it's actually in favor of New Era, I would argue, just because they are they have equalized the guns. It's now 6v6, but Unique is 24 HP. So my mic turned off for a bit. I just turned it back on, but, anyways, we see okay, I'm just gonna turn off this audio. So, we see Reborn go for a bit of a crossfire angle on the guy in B, which, it's cool and all, but I really like the play that, New Era made where they are trying to once they rotate all these guys here, they are now trying to repush A themselves, and it's actually a very good repush because it means that Zombie, like, look at the timing of the repush. So they're able to chase Unique out of the B cap, and they have two options. They could either move up and give chase, or they can like try to like stay back and hold. And I do think giving chase would actually be beneficial because it would mean that you are kind of cutting off these zombie tanks from one, maybe trying to reinforce the brawl that's happening on A. And also, actually, just looking at the mini map, I think New Era just recognized that there was a numerical advantage on the A side, so they just decided to take the brawl, especially considering that you have two tanks kind of out of the fight already. Unique is effectively going to be out of the fight for presumably the whole game. And Laser, he's not really going to be able to do much against a 116 and E100 that are staring at him. So taking the push over here is just very good. Milo, welcome to the stream, baby. You are modded now. Please behave, or you will be unmodded. So good crossfire. Capybara is getting bombed out of the game. And this should be a New Era win, I'd say. Well played from them. So I do something I guess for newer comp players that may be watching this stream in the future is just notice look at Chocopie. So he's pushing all the way to this position that he's at. He's trying to put in shots into Valenonis, and after getting put into a crossfire by Laser and Valenonis, he decides to drive forward so that he only gets shot by one guy. And this idea of trying to push forwards and try to minimize the number of guns shooting at you is I'd call it a skill that you should know in comp as a up and coming comp player. Just because minimizing number of guns that shoots at you means that you are going to survive longer, you're going to be more effective in battle. If Chocopie, for instance, was just being unaware, would just stay there, he would die twice as fast as he would if he were to only get shot by one guy. So he's kind of pushing for cover in a sense from Valenonis. He's not in the line of sight of Valenonis. He's only in line of sight of Laser. So I guess if you were to give this play a term, it's pushing for cover. So here, I think New Era should just clean up this game. There's no way they lose this. I would say. Well, we've seen some crazy comebacks. I think Winter Mal was a crazy comeback, albeit not a zombie comeback, but rather a New Era comeback. So maybe we see a comeback, but I doubt it. Well, caps are a bit of an issue, I'd say. Like the reason why the CS and Sturv aren't going, even though they know they have a numerical advantage, is because they're both one shots. So they're trying to wait for their tanks with HP to try to go in. And another skill set, if you are like a new comp player, you're trying to like learn the ropes. If you have HP and your teammates don't have HP, you got to use the HP in some capacity. And it's not like throw away all your HP because you heard me say that. It's more so you got to use your HP in order to make a play. And in this case, the play to make is you got to push Laser and get him killed somehow. So Laser shoots, and unfortunately, the Sturf bounces, which is really bad, very, very, very bad. and Skilloid, and somehow Zombie actually is going to bring this back, which is very surprising to me, in my opinion. This is crazy. I was anticipating this to be a very quick, um, uh, new era win, just because they were able to pick up arguably 2 kills, but I guess Unique, being on 24 HP was still able to be an effective gun in this game, so I take back my words I said earlier where I said that his gun is effectively just out of the game completely, and it's just not. And now, Zombie are actually stopping all bases, so they have triple caps effectively, and Skilloid needs to pick up this kill, but Unique has a shell in his tank, so if Unique is able to get a track shot and try to bait Skilloy into wasting a shell, he will just win this 1v1. He's waiting. Okay, so Skilloy does get high roll, nearly a max roll from the 116, but he's able to get the kill and survive, but it's doesn't really it's too little too late, I'd say, just because Tenoji made the correct play. He's capping A, and Reborn Win is very healthy, and he's in a tomato tank, so that is not, and Tenoji, very good kill on Chocopie, so well played to Zombie. They won this set 5-1, and I'd say they had a very strong, showing. I do think this set could have been 5-0 had Zombie played a little bit better on Winter Mal instead of rotating Mark Silent back to spawn, which I think it was a smart play in my head, but just in the grand scheme of things, because the one floating med on A side, so I'll kind of go back to this. This was kind of an interesting game. This one med was kind of floating, trying to figure out where he wanted to position his tank. And upon seeing that Mark Silent decided to kind of drive and try to support the spawn, he saw an opportunity to work with his other two teammates here and try to get the 3v2 and convert these kills very quickly, leaving only 3 tanks left against the world. And that was the correct play to make it, from this med. But had Mark Silent stayed here, this 3v3 would be a lot different. It would probably not be an easy 3v3 to win. These 2 tanks here would probably hold their own against 4, and there's also the potential for crossfire like this. So I do agree with what Ranger said in the chat, where if Mark had to stay mid, Zombie would probably win this game, and it would be a 5-0 set had it not been for that rotation. I do agree with that, yeah. But overall, a good, pretty good set of games from Zombie, and now I just have to click through the stream until I come across the next set. Um, okay, I won't lie, I'm not fluent in Russian, but I assume this is just the map selection that, like, the map picks going like live as this broadcast is going. So I'm just gonna. Oh, what the? Yo, what is this? Okay. I probably just spoiled myself there, which is okay. So, ooh, let me back this up a bit. Okay, so it's Vineyards, and we're gonna see what are these teams? Illuminati. So this is Ufpanja's new team, and then we're gonna see Concilium, which is Nick Ace's team. So for the future viewers tuning in, Ufpanja and Nick Ace used to be, a dynamic duo on 7 Star, but then for some reason, Ufpanja decided to leave 7 Star and kind of break ties with Nick Ace. So now instead of these two being kind of an inseparable duo, they are now opponents. They are now contenders for, or they're both trying to contend on their own respective teams. So this is going to be a bit of an interesting matchup, and we do see Concilium on the North spawn of Vineyards, which I absolutely despise. I think North spawn Vineyards is one of the worst spawns, one of the most terribly balanced spawns in the entire game. It is incredibly weak. There are a lot of plays that South spawn can do to just completely screw over North spawn, and Let's see exactly how this plays out real quick. So we see Buka play up towards the B cap and somehow not get punished at all for it. So kind of a gamer play from Buka. This is playing with balls as the light tank, and I respect light tank players who play with balls and just don't, like in comp, light tank players are generally like seen as like kind of ratty because they will typically like camp, sit in bushes, and stuff. But seeing a lot of aggressive gameplay from like the same light players, it's a bit refreshing. It's kind of like two sides of a coin. Like sometimes you'll see like some crazy super aggressive spotting runs, and then other times you'll see some like crazy like tree or like bush that they're just sitting in and just getting info for the team. So aggressive and passive like gameplay. So it's great to see kind of both sides and very crazy strat, I must say, from Concilium. So I'll just put down what they have. So they got like stuff like this. Four guys in that pocket, and then one guy here and a light tank here. While on the other side, we have Seven Star, which have a BZ here, a guy in mid, guy here somewhere, and then a bunch of meds and lights in the ruin or trying to go towards the ruins. I'm just gonna put down just mobility icons. But the reason why I say this is crazy is because the only reason you would have guys here like this is if you are trying to just preemptively push like this, or even crazier, just like push like this. Typically on NA, you would probably see a push on the lowermost arrow, something like this. And if they have like tanks here, then you would send guys in town to try to just go for the kill here. But this is a hard tank to kill. It is possible, but it is hard. But either way, let's see if they're doing the play that I anticipate on doing. So they're getting ready. Oh, three tanks get spotted. Four tanks get spotted. They are all lit up. And 17 is probably terrified for his life. And Sasa Mambo is just going for it. They're doing exactly what I anticipated. And not the push that say like the KBZs are doing, but the BZs are just going straight over to mid. So for those who don't know, on Tank's Blitz, the BZ has like a rocket booster consumable. So it's like it's like a super speed boost on steroids. So this thing is pretty gamer. And they are able to get a very fast kill, but I have to say that despite getting the fast kill, they are boxed. Like this is a terrible crossfire to be in. Like Wishbone being where he is just going to kind of farm out Nick Ace and Sasa Mambo and check my damage. And then, well, I say this, but also it's a two-way street. So these guys, if they hit their shots on the KBZ, it could be really bad for Wishbone, which they don't. They don't even go for a shot. And now Xbuka is just going to take the ruins and then just try to crossfire out the guys are looking towards the middle. So maybe this isn't as terrible as I thought for Concilium, but looking at the HP, they're down 3k HP. So it seems like their meds are very, very bled, which is not great in the grand scheme of things. So we'll see what they're able to do. And it seems like Ufanjaw is probably going to put a shot into Van Peeks. Let's see if he is able to put a shot. He does put a massive shot, 687. So I think this is very chopped for this side of Concilium. And here we see Nick Ace and Sasamambo try to go for another off angle on Blessed Days and Picks because they do have a 1v1 happening in the rune side. So I believe it's probably Buka versus Wishbone, if I had to guess who the tanks are 1v1ing in runes. But that means that Nick Ace, Sasamambo, and Check My Damage are able to just play on the B, on like the right side of the B house pretty safely because they know that this Wishbone guy can't crossfire them from ruins without risking losing his 1v1 in return. So it seems okay. Maybe it's just because they just have their rocket boosters because like rocket booster go burr, I'm fast, lol. So that's kind of funny just seeing them like go go go. I'm gonna get a bit more water. My throat seems a bit to be a bit patchy right now. All right, I had my water. Um, and in the meantime, while I was sipping, it seems like Concilium was able to actually convert the kill on, I think was it Blessed Days who died? Or yeah, it was Blessed Days who died, so well played for them, but just look at the HP differential. Concilium's down 3k HP, but they also have an extra gun, so in terms of, like, gun to like, versus HP, I feel like, in general, having more guns is better as long as they are well positioned. And just looking at the minimap right now, I think Sasamambo is kind of fine where he is right now. This 40 PE guy is perfectly fine where he is right now. On the minimap, it's hard to see, but Nick Ace should be like kind of southwest of Sasamambo. So he should be somewhere like over here, kind of. So I think he should be fine as well. It's just Star Screamy is not fine. He's going to die. And we do see, yeah, we see him die. So exactly as I anticipated. And ooh, actually, very good. Yeah. So the light tank, very good crossfire angle. They were able to pick up Ufinjaw, and now we have a 3v2. But this is tough because what's going to happen is this BZ is going to run this light tank around this house, and then this LV 1300 is just going to try to position himself such that both Nick Ace and Sasamambo are going to be in front of him. Well, yeah, no. It's exactly like I said, yeah. Well, not exactly, but they're both generally kind of like in front of him. One's gonna be a bit to his left, one's gonna be a bit to his right. So this is actually, I'd say it's winning for Concilium. Just because what they could do is they could try to coordinate with this BZ with between the two BZs and try to look for like crossfire, like maybe like HEs, try to like play it safe. Like one guy try to like bait his track, the other try to go for like quick HEs or something just to like slowly whittle them down, while this light tank tries to kite around the building. So I think that's probably how they should be playing in. Unfortunately, that was a AP Ricochet. I think that was a bit greedy. I think probably going, well, I don't know the exact armor profile of this tank. I'm not gonna lie, like from like the sides, like angles of the sides. I just know if like front on, that thing is red as hell. So oh, I like the play that KMS is doing where he actually steps into A and he's actually going to force the cap because the light tank, right? He could go around the building as much as he wants, but the BZ, as soon as he gets into A cap, he can just sit there. He can literally just sit there, grab the cap, and then slowly but surely Illuminati is going to have the cap lead, and this is going to force LT to play a bit more aggressive on the BZ in order to try to get a kill. And they do trade, which I'd say is good for the BZ just because you won that trade by a mile, and now the LT is a one shot for you. So all you have to do is kind of just splash him or just get one more AP actually, just to be safe. And I think Sasa Mambo bled a shot, if I am not mistaken. He does bleed a shot, so bit of a bad peak there, and they don't even trade particularly well at all against the LV. So neither of them are peaking. I feel like Sasa Mambo should have peaked after getting shot at. Maybe I am missing something? No, I guess you just didn't shoot despite getting shot at. I feel like you should have maybe rocket boosted, like, if he, like, say, rocket boosted himself and then tried to put in a shot while having Nick Ace also put in a shot, they would have probably killed this guy, so or maybe the rocket booster was just on cooldown, but very good shot from, um, Guntelli, Danny, so well played to you for getting that shot off, and now this is a bit cooked because now that if the T100 can shoot the LV, chances are this LV can also shoot back at the T100, and Nick Ace is still on reload. So as long as Guntelli just positions himself very well, he can eventually help KMS pick up the kill on the T100. So we'll see if that's the case. And ooh, the LV is looking for it. Does he hit it? Does he hit it? He does hit it. Well played for this LV 1300. This Guntelli guy, MVP of the game, I gotta say. He was holding his own in a 1v2. He got the kill on the light tank, and he got a kill on one of the guys he was facing. And KMS also, I'd say, well played just for one landing that one shot on the LT. All it takes is one, and he made it count. So well played to you. So Concilium, like, I like the idea that they had where they just like full sent it. It's just they bled way too much for it. If they conserved even just a little bit of HP and carried that forwards into the end game, they would probably have a couple more tanks than just, 3v2. They could have had maybe like a 4v2 or even a 5v2 if their meds were able to conserve HP at the start. So, just I guess food for thought. All right. And then looking at the damage spread, uh Ufanja did ton of damage despite dying, kind of in the middle, so pretty good showing from him. And we're gonna see Winter Mal again. Okay. So, just to break down this game, I think probably the most important part was more so the t the 2v3, I'd say. So, you had I think it was guy here and a guy here, and then you had s believe a guy here, and a guy here, like this. And then you had the light tank chasing around the rock. So this guy was somehow able to just bait shots from the BZs, not get penned, which is very good. He didn't even get HE'd. He was able to kill one guy in this small engagement. So well played to you. And then this heavy tank was able to eventually step into the cap and just stay in it, and he's perfectly safe to do so because if this LT, per se, went for shots on this guy or just even runs away completely, this guy just grabs the cap and then he can just drive onto the bridge and then try to help out his teammate kill the LT and pinch him out. But this LT, he did a weird ego chow. They traded very poorly because the BZ, of course, is obviously going to outtrade an LT, and the LT kept on like driving around the buildings, But the biggest misplay, I think, was just losing one guy here. I think if these two BZs coordinated a bit better on this side, they would have probably been able to kill this guy and then help their guy on A cap. So let's see. Interesting. So I don't think we've seen Mouse. Not sure why they're running a mouse, but I mean, mouse is a I'd say it's an okay tank. It's an okay tank. It's just not like I'd say the go to. Like typically you'd see like LV 1300 if you're trying to play like an unpennable heavy tank. Mouse just seems a bit outdated. We see BZ capping C base very, very safely, and a couple blind shots kind of moving in. And ooh, very well placed blind shot. Very, very well placed blind shot. It just what went a bit too high. And here the mouse is getting bled. He loses 2 shots of HP trying to get into this forward's position. And if he's trying to get to this L-shaped house, makes sense. But it doesn't seem like he's playing the L-shaped house at all, and Concilium has cap advantage, so it is up to 7-star to rotate and make a play because they are down on caps. And very good shot from Van Peeks into Blessed Days, and the reason why Blessed Days was even peaking that in the first place is because the elevation of that position allows you to get a lot of vision into, um, blue spawn. But unfortunately, I just think Van Peeks probably was expecting or anticipating that, and also Nick Ace is playing such a forward's position such that Blessed Days probably would just gets like spotted by Nick Ace. So maybe that's why Nick Ace is playing so far up. He's just getting a lot of information while also not being particularly bleedable. So say if Nick Ace were playing completely above, like at the L-shaped house, so I'll move my stretch sketch to here. And oh, I'm reading the chat right now. Nick Ace kind of threw by leaving the angle against LV, says Milo. I I agree. Well, it's I think the big throw was just like the poor coordination between the two BZs because the BZ like he the first BZ who died, he bled a shot of HP. He should have used that opportunity with Nick Ace to try to double tap the LV if anything. And then Rager saying, could the LT have given up a cap and gone to flank the LV as well? So yes, he could have, but I think in that situation, maybe they were just like thinking, "Oh, you could probably kite the BZ around the corner, like around the house, while also putting shots into the LV." But he he put in a shot into the LV at some point, but then afterwards he wasn't able to put any more shots. So let me just put down the setup that Illuminati has. I am so sleep deprived. I need to go to bed soon. So we have some funny stuff like this. An LV here. And then these are 2 meds. Uh, where the hell are they? Oh, they are sitting far in the back. Okay, hang on. So they're just sitting back here. And then we see 1, 2, 3. Interesting double meds just sitting up here. And then what else they got? One guy at the balcony. So this guy's probably a is he a heavy or yeah, he's a heavy. Okay. And then last guy is probably light tank, I'd say. And I think he's probably spotting probably here, right? So no, middle bush, middle bush. Okay, so he's spotting like this. Okay, so he's doing something like this is kind of the setup that's going on, and green team has to push into red team, and I think this is just a very strong setup, I'd say, for red team. Well, except for the exception of B cap, but the mouse. I think that's probably what the mouse is for. Like the mouse, you're just going to be an HP pinata, just drive into B cap and just bomb it. But we'll see what happens. So Buka kind of just spotting in the central bush, kind of preventing any, or he'll light up any rotation towards A side, which makes sense. And then I guess on the side of Illuminati, they're trying to figure out exactly how they want to try to probe and make the play in order to win the game. And I feel like just the setup that they have, I don't think it's really possible for them to win a game against um Concilium setup. Just because they have I mean, the only play I can see them realistically do is repush A, but repushing A from North Spawn is just so fucking bad. You're just going to get absolutely cooked when you try to make this play. So Uffendrag kind of playing up for a bit of info, which is cool. Very, very good blind shot from KPZ. If it was a little bit better placed, he would have hit the bat chat. But now we see actually a bit of an adjustment to the position from the super heavies, where now they are trying to play for a bit of an angle on B, and this is I'd say I'd say it's pretty smart. If Nick Ace gets pushed, these guys should have I believe they should have shots on the crossing. Not 100%, but it does look like okay, so what I'm gonna guess is gonna happen is this LV 1300, he's just gonna drive towards A side and try to soak hits, but I think he's just going to be a kill for Concilium. He gets spotted very early on, which is good. Well, sorry, the bat check gets spotted early on, but it's only gonna be a matter of time he does get shot up for that. That's a very well placed shot. I'm not sure who even hit him there. It had to have been probably one of the E100s, I'd say, right? Yeah, E100. Wow. So E100 decided to just go for a gamer shot. So what's this position looking like now? Yeah. So far corner here. This guy, where are all these tanks? Guy here. Buka was spotting up here. And then where's the 116 at? 116 is on A as well, so he's playing like here-ish. Okay. So somehow these guys were able to just get either they lined up a shot like I don't even know what angle it was. Was it like what angle was it? How did Uffenjaw get hit? That's insane. Okay, yeah. It had to been It had to be this angle here. That's a that's a well-placed shot right there. Well-placed shot. And then exactly as I expected, the LV-1300 is gonna be a sacrificial lamb going towards A side, but I don't think Illuminati is making very good use of it because we would probably see them try to play for B at the same time, just while eyes are looking at this guy on A. But it does look like they are actually making a play on B. Apathy just lost a ton of HP, so what they're doing is they're doing something like this, sending this guy to get absolutely smoked on A, but at the same time, they're sending the guy on the L-shaped house to go into B like this. So, unfortunately, I feel like just the meds are just not very useful at all for Illuminati, just because their heavies are dying and their meds are just not really doing anything. So, yeah, this Guntelli guy is just going to die for free, I'd say. Yep, he is already getting repushed, and then Nick Ace does look like he is getting kinda, crossfired in the middle over here, which is good for the side of, Illuminati. So you send, like, 3 mobility, you try to go after the one, guy in after the mouse in mid, but I don't think converting this is particularly good because now it means that you still have a bunch of guys in B and they are getting crossfired. So there's really good crossfire angles from these E100s, and yeah. So one of them is playing here. Well, yeah. He's playing. Oh, this strat sketch is not as accurate as should be. Well, he's playing like here, and then the other is playing a bit further back, so something like this, and they're just putting in just bombing shots into the guy capping B. So he's just getting completely smoked right now. What's up, Takefusa? And then hello, Liutberg. I'm assuming you're a Russian, considering your English. Don't 7-star, it's Illuminati. Yeah, I'm aware. Don't worry. I see the team names. And yeah, Illuminati loses to Concilium in this game. So they didn't really have any options. They tried to send their only 2 heavies into A, like towards A and into B, and Concilium had a setup ready for B, and they had a bunch of meds ready to kill the guy on A. So that was just a bit of a poor lineup issue, I'd say. Just the lineup itself just gave Illuminati no options. Ooh, next game. Okay, so Yukon, and why is the stream quality so fucking low? Holy balls. Okay, there we go. Awesome. So Concilium grabbing CD, it will have cap advantage, and Illuminati are going AB. And on Yukon, it's a large map. There are a lot of options that can happen, but I'd say just looking at the lineups, hmm. Okay, I think it's a bit too early for me to kind of judge the positions and say who's better off or not. But some something I can just say is Concilium, they have cap advantage, which is very, very good for them. But they also do have a much lighter lineup than Illuminati. So Illuminati has more heavies. They can use those heavies when it comes time to it. And this is a crazy setup from Concilium where they have Van Peaks in the far corner of the map just hiding behind a building. And they have this KPZ Teoki just hiding ratting in a tree. So if Ufinja were, for instance, or maybe somebody on the team were to overextend, maybe spot Teoki and they decide, oh, let's try to push him. Like that push is just going to get completely screwed over just because of fan peaks and his position at the red line over here. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen. Will Ufinja or somebody on Illuminati fall for the spawn bait from Concilium side? Wishbone does get spotted. Okay. Does he know though? He does put a blind fire, and it does actually ricochet, as we can see from the trajectory of the tracer. It goes to the KBZ and then flies right up. That's a ricochet. So Wishbone does know that there's somebody there, which is good information, I'd say, for the side of Illuminati, even though they weren't able to actually spot like however many tanks, so you probably know, okay, there's a guy riding that tree. Maybe pushing that is not a good idea. It is a bit of an overextension on the end of Illuminati if they were, say, to go for the push on the KPZ. And he is putting Wishbone is putting a lot of blind shots. I really like the discipline from Teoki where, oh, okay, I got shot once in that tree. I'm just gonna play further back so that I don't bleed any unnecessary HP from sitting in the same goddamn tree and getting blind fired. So I'd say good game sense from him, just common sense, I'd say. Some people, like I guess some up and coming like comp players, if you see a position on a strat sketch, you are not like entitled to just stay in that position unless like your caller tells you to do so, right? And I think probably the number one rule for new and upcoming tournament players is try to listen to your caller. Usually your caller is going to be very experienced or should know what they're doing compared to like say everybody else. So listening to your caller is kind of like paramount. And if they tell you to stay in a position, stay in a position. If they tell you to move your position to a better one, then you should listen to them. But in this circumstance, I think what the KPZ did, where he got shot once and backed up, that was like a that was the correct decision. Where you're still in the general area, but you're not going to say bleed unnecessary HP just because you want to stay in this position. But just to get back to the analysis of the game itself, I think probably based off of the heavy lineup that Illuminati has and the fact that they are down on caps, they're probably just going to force these 116s onto the C cap and then potentially try to kill Nick Ace potentially. I'm sure that they anticipate that he's going to be there, and if not, they're going to quickly proxy spot him because look at how close KMS and Blessed Days are. They're going to proxy spot Nick Ace because it's going to be within 50 meters, and they're going to know, okay, they have a guy guarding C. We could probably kill the guy in C, but we also need to be wary of crossfire. So I'm interested to see if one, these 116s are all just going to bum rush C, and two, I'm interested to see where the meds are going to position themselves. So, like these KPZs, are they just going to full send into spawn and try to take a 2v2, or are they going to try, like, try to crossfire out Nick Ace? And I'm also interested to see what Uf and John, this LV 1300 and spawn are going to do. Are they going to try to go for an off angle and try to cover all the potential sources of crossfire that could screw over the 116s that try to play into C? Because right now, two very strong crossfire positions are where Sasa Mambo and Check My Damage are. They can just peek and just pre-aim the 116s if they were to try to push through C and go for Nick Ace. So we'll see what happens here. And Nick Ace does get proxy spotted by Blessed Days, so or rather by 17, the 116 in front of him. And it looks like 17 does, or Ufanja do get shot at by the KPZs are sitting in spawn behind Nick Ace, so they probably know, okay, there's probably a couple more tanks than just one there. So these KPZs holding their position at the red line on the side of Illuminati is good. And now the 116s are trying to force a bit on the C cap, but again, like I said, the crossfire on the C cap is just there's a lot of angles to cover, and it doesn't look like yo. Hello? Okay, my micro's working now. My mic keeps turning off for some reason. I'm not sure why. But in this circumstance, there's just a lot of crossfire angles that um Concilium has on the C cap, and it doesn't seem like Illuminati is doing a good job at suppressing those crossfire sources. So Nick Ace is going to die, but they're bleeding a lot of HP for this one kill. And if we just look at the HP, Concilium's up 3000 HP, and arguably Illumina, yes, they are up caps. They are stopping C, but just the HP difference and just one LV-1300 just got completely nuked out of the game. He's going to be a kills very soon. And now this is going to devolve into a brawl on C because Concilium has 2 kills on C. They can go for KMS and they can go for 17. These are 2 kills on C, and I think Sasamambo should be playing a lot more aggressively, especially since he has his reactive consumable popped and ready to go. And Van Peeks here, he could look for the 1v1 on picks, but I think the better play here. Oh, actually, the caps just reached 1,000. Doesn't even matter. I was gonna say this guy could look for crossfire onto the C cap, which I think he did. He did shoot. I think it was Ufbanjaw, maybe. It just went underneath the tank. So GG. Let's go to next game. I skipped ahead. Okay. So Molin. So Molin Dick, it's a good map in my opinion. I like the map for a comp. There's a lot of opportunities and options for play on this map. And we're gonna see we're gonna see 7-star. Okay, I think I'm getting a bit tired. I low-key wanna not do any more of the strat sketch analysis. If you guys do want me to do that, just let me know in, like, the comments on this video later. But we see Ufinja go for a bit of an aggressive spotting run through the mid and through town, but usually if you see a light tank do that kind of a spotting run, you can probably assume that he's gonna have a lot of help in town. So already, since Buka is capping A presumably for free, and they haven't really seen anything else with the CS, they can Concilium can easily assume that Illuminati is just hard stacked on the C side. So Illuminati, they are once again down on cap, and Concilium have a crazy setup ready in case of an Illuminati push. So they are anticipating it, and if anything, I actually have to say, like, just off of the vision, like, if we pause and look at the minimap real quick, Buka is not really spotting anything at all. Not even well, I'd say it's hard to spot, or it's kind of difficult for him to move up any further to try to spot more, just because there's the danger of tanks ratting by the TD bunker. So just off of this vision alone, I feel like Concilium could just play a bit slow and just wait for a bit more info before they try to make a play. But it just seems like to me that if Buka were to play a little bit more aggressively and just probe the spawn more, they just get all the information that they need. Okay, all 7 tanks are just sitting at the C corner or by C. That's good information to know. We could maybe try to slowly form a net around them, try to play map control and just surround them and box them into town because town is very enclosed. So let's see exactly how this plays out. So Ufbanja playing very aggressive. He's probably going to meet Buka at some point and go for a brawl. And okay. It seems like Concilium is gonna go for a push on Illuminati, and I think this is a ballsy push, a very ballsy push. Because look at the tanks that they have. They have a bunch of meds. These are KPZs pushing into hold down BZs. Look at KMS. He has a mound that he's hold down against. Look at Apathy. He's gonna be in a lane that these meds are gonna have to drive past KMS's gun. They're gonna drive in front of his gun in order to shoot Apathy. So this is gonna be a pretty nasty push or a pretty nasty hole to go into, especially with all these meds. And look at Sasamabo, minus 1300 already. But now that they have taken the initial volley, these KPZs with 4000 DPM should be able to just completely burn down the BZs, and KMS is already down to 300 HP. It's basically a one shot for these tungsten KPZs. And then Apathy is about a two shot. He's gonna fall very, very soon. He does fall, and it seems like Ufanjal did find Buka. If we look at Sector 2 on the minimap, Buka is currently handling Ufanjal. Ufanjal has a damaged ammo rack. Let's see if he repairs it. He does not. Buka should win this 1v1 very easily. And we actually see an interesting play from Teoki where he was originally in the middle, like by the B cap area, and he actually pushed over. I'm guessing what he did is he baited a shot and he pushed over and he's trying to look for crossfire into the main brawl, which I agree is the correct play, but he's kind of getting himself killed a bit for him. Like, despite popping reactive, he's already very low, which shouldn't really be the case unless all of these tanks are just shooting him. And I don't think all of them were shooting him, so very curious to see like what exactly happened to him. So I'm just gonna play it back a bit. So we have Teoki. He's at 2.2k damage. He eats one shell. I'm gonna guess. Okay, he eats another shell. Okay, so he ate a BZ and an LB 1300 shell. So in that circumstance, honestly, I would just go for it and just get the kill on KMS. And instead, he goes here and he shoots picks for some reason. Just go for the kill on KMS, if anything, because you already ate the shot from the guy. You might as well just go and kill him and open up the angle for your team to move in and try to cut the distance between the KPZs that are holding very strong positions. What is different to KPZ 50 on Lesta? From what I understand, KPZ 50T has like 4k DPM. So that thing is like a DPM monster. And also welcome to the stream, Azro. So Buka cleans up the 1v1 against Upanjal. He got a bit lucky with the ammo rack, but that's just good from it. And then over here, Teoki, very odd play. So he like instead of like going in trying to get the kill on KMS, he just backs up, eats another shot from the LV, and now he's just in this lane. He's going to die eventually to the LV. And he kind of just threw his tank away for free for no reason. If you're gonna go in down this middle lane towards the C cap, you might as well just grab the kill on the BZ. And yeah, Teoki just dies for free, and now it's actually 5v5, but I'd say, Concilium I'd argue Concilium is oh, I'd say it's equal. This position is equal, I'd say. And okay, this is 4v4. This is actually very good for Concilium, I'd say, just because they're a bit more consolidated, and all of the Illuminati tanks would have to peek the same lane unless they cross and try to go for Sasamambo, which would be a mistake because all these tanks are just going to preem down this lane. So what's probably going to happen is these four tanks are probably not going to immediately engage these four tanks. They're just going to try to play it slow and just like play a 4v4 basically. And this is interesting. Getting to see these kind of 4v4s at the top level is I'd say kind of rare, at least on NA, just because like these kind of situations are they don't really occur that much, but we do see the rotation out. And something to do note is that blue team Concilium, they do have caps, so it is down to Illuminati who have to push out of town. And town, there's three openings to town. This should be very easy to cover, very easy to play if you are Concilium. And what is check my damage doing? Why are you capping B? Even though he has HP and he can like, afford to cap the base, why would you just do that? You all you have to do is just cover the angles of town. That there are only 3 exit points in town. Just all you have to do is cover them because you have caps. Driving to B is just a massive mistake because now you're putting yourself into crossfire. Wishbone has crossfire on you, and the guy on the left side, the guy that I'm like kind of circling in my mouse cursor, also has crossfire. Blessed Days, yeah, Blessed Days has crossfire on check my damage, and I think slowly but surely, check my damage and Sasa Mambo are just going to be kills eventually because what Pix could do is if Pix just like maybe drives like towards the bridge, he could maybe look for a crossfire shot on Sasamambo, and Sasamambo can't look both ways at once, and then Wishbone using his HP could just easily pick up a kill on Sasamambo. So we'll see how this plays out. So KMS actually bled quite a bit of HP, but he's on, I believe, the far left side. So he's like pushing into what I believe is can't be maybe it's this 40 guy. Maybe it's the oh no, sorry, it has to be Buka. Okay, so they're pushing 2v1 into Buka, while Wishbone and Pix are going to try to win a 2v3. And even though it looks like kind of bad for them, like Pix does manage to get the kill on Sasamamba, so just poor place shot. I feel like Sasamamba could have put it in a shot. And now check my damage is now in crossfire from the guys who pushed past on the far left side, as well as Wolf Wishbone from mid. So check my damage should be next to fall very, very soon. He does get a 400 damage hit. And Wishbone just playing with balls. I respect that. He does get the reload off on him, so well played. And they clean up the 4v4. Well, very well played. I have to say, like, check my damage. You going into B like that or just stepping B, not really the correct play. And also the one, like I'll just show it. Like this setup right here, having Buka on this wide angle right here, that's perfectly fine, right? Having another guy, the 40 PE guy on the other side, that's perfectly fine. But having 2 guys in mid is suicide. If you're going to play mid, you should be playing one section over. So like play one ramp over, instead of playing like this close kind of ramp area to the town entrance from mid. Yeah, so I think just check my damage. Just poor positioning from the 2 guys in mid just sold the game completely here for Concilium. Let me skip on to the next game. Okay, we see Mayan, and we're seeing 3 tanks going into B. This is very interesting. So I'll just preface this right now. These 3 tanks in B are going to be sitting here for the entire game. I'm almost certain of it, just because if they try to push out of B, they are going to get bombed to hell by these BZs in the middle of the map here, as well as the guys on Illuminati side and spawn. I feel like sending 3 guys into B is a crazy overcommit. Absolutely crazy overcommit. That max I'd like be comfortable with like sending into B like as a strat is probably like 2 guys. But even then you'd have to not push all 3 guys just into B. You have to like try to take different pockets, different segments of the B cap. So very good blind shot from Ufinja into the TD bush over here. And this is interesting. So they are able to cap B, but they're still well, the tick rate is about the same, and they're both, I'd say, even on cap, exactly equal on cap. So what needs to happen at some point is the KPZs and maybe like one or two of the heavies in mid need to try to rotate towards A, probe a bit, get information, then cap the base. And we do see Xbuka already going to A cap. So that's good. They're going to be able to get the cap advantage. And getting the cap advantage when you have a lot of tanks stacked in the middle, especially in this like kind of B compartment, it's probably like your only bailout. That's probably your only option that you can do realistically. So we have Xbuka who's going to cap A. And now if you are Concilium, you have two options. You can either hold A and cover your guys in B in town, or you can try some weird like C rotate while having like a heavy or two try to anchor A. And I feel like being greedy, especially since you already have 3 tanks sitting in B cap, is not a great option. So I think playing for C should not be in the picture at all for Concilium. Like Concilium, if they want to win this game, they need to hold A. They need to cover their guys in B. That is like their only option if they want to try to win this game. Yo, what's up, Krish? What's up, Yarrow? Great to see you guys here. And here, slowly but surely, like Illuminati is just going to slowly bleed out the Concilium tanks in B just because of poor peeking and also more angles that Illuminati has to work with. So we'll see exactly how Concilium plays out of this. And I think here these 3 tanks, like I just think these all 3 tanks here they're just kills at some point. And if they're not kills, then the rest of their team are kills. And if we look at the main, I'm not sure what their medium tanks are doing right now, actually. It looks like their medium tanks kind of want to play towards the middle, but I don't agree with that at all. You're abandoning A. You're completely abandoning A. Illuminati, they could easily just like probe up on A, realize that it's free, retake it, and then now Concilium has to try to like push out of this position, which is going to one really suck. And then two, oh, never mind. The 116s are going to make a bit of an aggressive play onto the town side, and they're still getting crossfired quite a bit for it. But I think against meds, I think the 116s just get completely smoked, completely cooked. And it does look like Teoke is already receiving the brunt of the focus right now. Pix is just free farming him, and Teoki is dead with Van Peek soon to follow. And Buka also dies as well. Buka was one of the meds that tried to go to the middle, and he just got completely smoked. Van Peeks is next. If I had to guess, never mind. Check my damage gets completely nuked. Where's check my damage? And check my damage is gone. Okay, yeah, this is just completely cooked for Concilium. I'm not sure what they were like thinking, trying to overcommit 3 tanks into B. Maybe they were trying to do like a like prediction counter strat where they thought maybe Illuminati would also send a bunch of tanks into B, like maybe 1 or 2 tanks into B, in which case Concilium's 3 B tanks should be able to win the B brawl like 9 times out of 10, I'd say. So I'll just try to fast forward this a bit more. Oh, I got spoiled a little bit. Okay. So We see 5 tanks kinda just sitting in this one lane. So 4 KPZs, 1116, and Nick Ace alone in the B cap, and it seems like Illuminati are park heavy, so they're just going to immediately take the initiative on Nick Ace. Nick Ace is going to die, and we do see a bit of counterplay towards the mid ramps where we have 3 heavies that are going to take the mid ramps, and it looks like the meds are going to push the 3 in the middle, and if these 3 tanks die quick enough, I think that this should be a win for Concilium, but it's not the case. They are bleeding way too much for this. Buka is dead. They've effectively traded 1 for 2 now, which is ideal from trading 1 for 3, considering that there are 3 heavy tanks here that should have died. I think maybe sending 1 medium or 1 or 2 mediums up the mid ramps and then collapsing on them from top would been a better play instead of saying all your guys just down low, try to go for the quick kill, because I'm guessing they're just trying to shoot what's in front of them rather than try to reposition for a fast or for a better angle. But in this case, they're facing a 116 who had time to back up while leaving his teammate to die. And this 116 is going to be safe. A lot of these tanks aren't going to have enough gun elevation in order to hit him. And then this LV 1300, this thing is Thanos. It is not going to die very easily unless you get onto its sides. So it is just going to buy enough time. And the town brawl is already done. Nick Ace is dead. And the four I think it was 4 tanks. The 4 tanks who went after him are now able to support the mid ramp, so Concilium is cooked here. 4K HP diff. It is gonna be Jover. Alright, just for the sake of time, I'm gonna skip the end of this game. I can already anticipate how this game is going to end. So let me skip a bit forwards. Okay, so this is potential match point for the side of Illuminati. So they are up 4-2. These are best of 9 sets. And we do see a very fast C grab from Xbuka, and he does a very interesting path past the safe. There's a little mound in the C cap that you can kind of hide behind if you're low enough profile, or if you're like a heavy tank, you can use that as like a hold down cover. But Buka kind of drove past, anticipating that he'd maybe spot a tank or two potentially up top, which would have gone good vision for his team. And it looks like Pix is trying to do the solo boost, so I'm not sure if he's gonna hit it or not. Hopefully, the camera pans onto him, and he does actually hit it, so well done to him. So, usually the way you get up here is you want to use speed boost in order to get enough speed, in order to wedge your tank along this rock right here, and then by turning your tank against the rock, you're able to push yourself into the boosted pocket, the boosted corner over here. And this boost is, I'd say, pretty good if you are trying to, say, get resets on C or receive a push up top. And it seems that in order for Illuminati to make the most out of this strat that they are running, especially with the boost, they're going to need to force the C cap at some point just to want to get vision for the light tank. And then two, if the team of Concilium decides to try to counter cap C, then the light tank is going to be a bit more useful. It's going to be able to make this boost worth it, per se. And Concilium are up on the caps, and I believe they're probably going to step B very, very shortly with what I presume to be the E100 Sasamambo. So on the other side, we just need to see the Concilian tanks just hold their ground up top, make sure that they don't bleed to death as we see UQ bleed probably one shot to I forget who it was, but it's a minor shot. Sasamambo does grab the B cap, which is good for Concilium. Now they're going to be further up on the cap advantage. And as I said, we do see the sneaky play on to C where Illuminati are trying to counter cap the base, try to convert that cap. And then we see a very interesting rotation from the side of Concilium where they're just leaving one tank up top with Buka kind of trying to cover the outside lane, try to spot out the outside lane, while 5 tanks on the side of Concilium are going to play for town. They're probably going to play for potentially a kill on A, if not the A cap itself. So it looks like the 50 the KPZ 50 Ts on Concilium side do get spotted by Wishbone, who's playing in the little dugout section of Middleburg spawn. And this is a very strong position because it lets you go hold down and you can reset the what I would say the left side of A. You can also get resets on right side of A where Guntelli is. So Illuminati, they've done their homework. They're able to cover all the angles in the cap. What the hell? Okay, whatever. So will we see Sasa Mambo try to stop the A base? No, in fact, he does do a very bad trade with the LV 1300. So let's see if they're able to maybe bleed more. 40 PE, bleeding another unnecessary shot. Good shot from the other E100 on Concilium side. So UQ hit a very good shot. And this guy just HE'd him for 7 damage. What was that, bro? Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. This guy took 1,000 damage because he took an E100 shot and then one more shot from, I presume, to be a heavy tank. Or maybe just a tungsten med. But that's a little bit depressing. He probably had time to aim in, considering, like, the way he peaked, he knew he was probably gonna eat a shot anyways. He probably had time to aim it in, maybe place the shot a bit better between the turret and the upper engine deck just to maximize the splash HE damage. But now this is very tricky for Concilium because your play, or your rather your counterplay to Illuminati was try to stop A, but now that you see their setup, you're they're being hesitant. Look how far back they're playing. Like the E100 is like the furthest up, but that's because he's in this very strong pocket position. So here we see kind of I would call this a bit of a desperate play where they're trying to like rotate up now and try to play for C, but I don't I don't know. I think and Buka playing like a gamer, just like driving and just YOLOing, and he's going to be a kill at some point very, very soon. And it seems that somehow Concilium was able to get the first kill while also stopping the A base. So the guy, the two E100s on A were able to cap the base, which is good, very, very good. But even then, I just feel like the weird rotation up, like the split rotation up, cost a lot of HP, but at the same time, 17 is going to fall very, very shortly. So if 17 falls, and if Check My Damage is able to survive, this will be a win for Illuminati, correct? Because 17, he just needs to get the kill on Check My Damage. Well, it's going to take a really high roll, but surely Pix is able to just drive forward and get the shot on Check My Damage. 17 puts the shot in. Doesn't get the roll. Check my damage. Does he get the kill? No. No, he does. Okay, he does get the kill. So check my damage just clutched up there. It was literally just down to the RNG of this roll right here, this game. So a couple of key points. One, the two E100s in town were able to cap A and get the base. And then two, the med rotation up top was weird, but I actually thought this weird play from Buka where he kind of just YOLO'd. I think it shows later here. Yeah, Buka. So Buka kind of YOLO was like just far past, just all the way past. And in doing so, I think what happened is he dragged Pix with him. So instead of Pix helping to like farm this main brawl, he was looking for the kill on Buka, which I mean, granted, that's the correct play, bro. But Pix was just kind of out of the fight, and he couldn't really put his gun into shooting, say, some lower HP tanks. So Buka dies here. I'm almost certain he dies to Peaks. And then Buka got a kill on the LV 1300. This guy is a gamer right there. So not only is he just driving around like a madman, he's picking up key kills. That is a key kill right there. And Van Peaks is stopping C base. So right now, Illuminati just doesn't have any sources of points unless they get kills. And even if they do get kills, they need to get 2 kills in order to win the game. So they get 1 kill on Buka, which is good. But here, this game is now completely down to 17 versus check my damage. If 17 kills check my damage, they win the game. A bit of an unlucky roll here from Pix. A bit of a lower roll. So I think 310 alpha is the same. It's the same alpha as the Watt B version of the game compared to Tank Splits. 480. If this guy had like a max roll, this game could be a lot different. Quite literally, they would have won. Well, I'll look at the timings of the kills. Nah, yeah, okay, yeah. Even if he got a max roll, I feel like Illuminati would have still won. Yeah, there's no way. So Concilium, or sorry, yeah, Concilium would have still won. Sorry, I misspoke there. So well played from Concilium for bringing that back. That looked incredibly chopped just because the meds didn't really have a set game plan. They were kind of just like running around the place until they eventually worked in their favor, which is kind of funny to watch. And I spoiled myself again. Okay, let's start from the start this time. Okay, here we have seems to be a weird. Is this a nuking strat? So just looking at the minimap and how Concilium have positioned their tanks, I believe they're trying to go for some weird like nuking strat where they have these. I presume to be the two E100s are sitting up here in sector 2, and then the meds are kind of pre-aiming the crossing, but the only tank that crossed is a light tank, which has good camo, so this is completely unspotted. So this kind of setup is going to get full counter, and this T100 could probably just peek very aggressive far forwards, outspot the Batchan, and also put shots into these two E100s. And that's exactly what happens. This E100 is getting bled now by the light tank in the corner. So well played from the light tank for finding the angle. But these E100s, I'd say they're kind of in trouble just because they're so useless now. The T100s can farm them, and if they try to play up on the ramps, if these 116s push ramps, they're just going to be trying to fight hold down 116s, and the hold down 116s should win against E100s like 10 times out of 10. We see Uffendraw try to go for the B cap, so we do see a bit of multi-cap play in action right now, which is cool to see, especially this early on in Faust. Usually you'd try to get a bit more information first before you grab the bases, so KBZ 50T on the side of Concilium. They're grabbing A. It's only, I say, 3 people on the A side. You have the 2 meds, and then you have 1 heavy by the silo that's covering the um the ramp that leads up to the silo from Illuminati spawn side. So where Gontelli Danil is where Nick Ace is trying to suppress. And I think Nick Ace could honestly just push him, considering that they have enough information. They know that there's a light tank in the corner. They know they have 2 116s, which leaves a total of 3 remaining tanks left to support Illuminati's setup. So just off of this, Nick Ace is making the aggressive play, which is good. And I'm curious to see what happens. Oofpinja, what the hell happened to Oofpinja? He just lost like 2,000 or 1,600 HP in a single shot or something. Was that a double tap? Gets spotted here. Yep, that was a double tap. So he ate, okay, he ate an HE from the E100. That makes a lot of sense. So he just ate a massive HE shell, and 40 PE should be able to just put in one more shot and then leave the kill. He bounces, which is okay because the E100 is going to eventually pick up the kill. And even though the E100 is getting completely bombed, he is soaking enough hits for 40 PE and UQ to slowly back up and try to create crossfire, try to buy enough time for their teammates to come in and help them with the brawl. And even though this E100 is dead, I feel like he's bought enough time. He's done his role. He's bought enough time for the rest of the team to start coming in. If we look at the minimap, we do see what seems to be 2, like a med and a light, drive in to kind of surround all the Illuminati tanks that are down low, which is good. And then we see another crossfire angle from the B cap where we have another KPZ and we see an LV 1300 try to play for crossfire on the guys on the cap right now. So I'd say those E100s, like, sure, they may not have fulfilled their role in, say, the initial nuking strategy, but they were able to use their HP effectively, keep their other teammates alive, and then eventually buy enough time for the rest of the team to clean up their brawls and then come in to help clean up this brawl. And Nick Ace is capping bases, which I think it's a fine play considering he's a bit low, but I feel like he could be playing a bit more aggressive in the tomato tank. Because if they're shooting at him, it means less shots on, say, the meds, which have all the DPM in this matchup. Fortunate bounce, but it doesn't even matter because check my damage is right behind him. And now we're going to see something interesting. Will 17 clutch up the 1v4? It would be insane to see him clutch up 1v4, but I doubt it. It's probably going to be a tiebreak, which is very interesting between Nick Ace and Ufpanjaw. Pretty cool. So let me just skip forwards a little bit. And Hellas. Okay, Hellas is an interesting tiebreak map because depending on the spawn you get, you could do like a very strong hold, or you could kind of like turn it into like a 7-minute game. Well, I say strong hold, but also, I mean, you could also set up an interesting YOLO from north as well. But I feel like in general, just the south spawn. Well, sorry, I messed up the spawns. You can set up a very strong push from south spawn, while north spawn is a lot stronger for say holding. And the reason why is the position that the KBZs on Illuminati side is in, where they have this weird pocket. On the other side, where behind where Van Peeks is an even better version of that position. It's a very difficult pocket to kind of push and dig tanks out of. And we see Nick Ace in the LV 1300. He's probably trying to bait out shots so that he can cross up to C and cap the base just to ensure that they have cap advantage. Because right now, well, they do have cap advantage. I guess they just want to maybe build up their lead, which makes sense. So not really much happening right now. Both teams are just kind of throwing a couple shots here and there, and Nick Ace is able to cross safely, and he is stepping C. And I feel like at this point, just let the band-aid rip the band-aid off. Have these KPZs try to go for the reset on Nick Ace because letting them get double caps on Hellas, especially when they have a hold setup ready, it's just going to be a bit of a nightmare. You might as well just push and try to force them to push out of their good holding positions in order to create some counterplay. So these 3 KVZs with the matching camos, I rock with it. This is sick. But they're just sitting there. They're not really doing anything. And I feel like if I'm gonna guess that the caller on Illuminati's side is Ufpanja, but if you were Ufpanja, I feel like you should anticipate that play on C by the LV 1300 and just have some counterplay ready, like whether it's push to top with the KPZs and then push down low with the 116s or what. I feel like they just let Nick Ace just grab the cap for free, and now they're trying to do their best to think. So instead of like thinking in advance, they just decide to just let it happen. Let Nick Ace grab C, and then we'll try to play off the win from our abilities, which it can work at sometimes. It's just not every team can be successful with that kind of work, especially if you're a new and upcoming team. And it seems like here, okay, so they will push Nick Ace and Van Peaks, and these two will die very quickly. But something else to point your mind to is look at the mini map. 5 blue tanks versus 1. But also look at the cap distribution on the mini map. After picking up the 1 kill in town, Concilium's gonna have double caps, and they're going to have 5 tanks just taking very strong holding positions. And trying to repush AB on Hellas is a bit tricky if the enemy team knows what they're doing. And Nick Ace, he is dying here, but again, like I said, just look at the caps right now. They've already equalized a kill. It's 1 for 1. Now it's 1 for 2, but HP is still relative. And in terms of caps, Concilium is going to be very close to 900, give or take a couple more seconds. So Illuminati, they need to act fast, and they need to act fast now. And over here, we see Ufinjaw versus Xbuka. This light tank 1v1. I'm not sure if it even matters just because of looking at how fast the cap tick rate is for supremacy points. I feel like Uffinjaw's maybe best bet was to try to potentially delay A while waiting or buying enough time for his team to make opportunities and try to get kills, or just try to do something to stop the supremacy points from accumulating and also from people from dying. Because people, if your tank dies, you will give supremacy points to the opposing team. So what Concilium is looking for right now is 1, keeping their bases blue, and then 2, trying to isolate kills. And I actually do think Ufinjaw, if he isn't able to run past this KPZ 50T, is going to be an absolute nightmare for Ufunja to deal with because it's gonna slowly turn into a 2-on-1. And here we do see again that 2-on-1, like I said, and just looking at the tick rate speed, it's already 990 caps. One more or two more ticks, and it is going to be 1,000 points. So I don't think there's anything that. Hello? All right. So my mic cut off again, or it turned off again, but thankfully, I think this is the last game of at least this day. Um, I'm gonna go grab some rest so that I am very, very sleepy right now, and I think I'll probably just do a similar like live stream tomorrow morning, or rather later today, I'd say. It's past midnight already for me, so I'll react to day two, give my analysis on that. Hopefully, the viewers find it either informative or entertaining or something like that. But if you want to see like the detailed strat sketch stuff, you can just like let me know and I could make like a video or something on that just to add content to this channel. But anyway.